Yesterday, was it? Yes, yesterday, which is also Judgment Day in the Terminator universe. They released the Terminator anime series, Terminator Zero. Now, I was actually really looking forward to this thing, for a lot of reasons because I'm a big Terminator fan. I love the Terminator franchise. Like there's a Terminator in action. Just a quick scene to show you guys. Oh, it's bloody, it's grotesque, it's crazy. Um, but the Terminator movies, we got to admit them, they have not been that great in a long time. Let me just pull up all the movies so I can tell you my kind of quick thoughts on them. Are these the most recent ones? No, that's not all of them. All right. So this is the lineup of Terminator films that we've got so far. We have Terminator, Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Salvation, Genesis, and Dark Fate. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like every single one of these movies, but I also know after the second movie, they go downhill pretty fast. Third one has got to be my favorite after the first two, but I like things about Salvation. I enjoy things about Genesis, and I even found enjoyment in Dark Fate. But none of these movies ever came close to the quality of the first two. That is for sure. And as a big Terminator fan, I'm just waiting for the day that Terminator can reach that high note again, that like comes close to this. We're hearing James Cameron is working on another Terminator movie. We talked about that on the channel a couple I think a week or two back, where he's going to focus on the AI aspect and it's classified. So we'll see if he even directs it or what he does with it, but another Terminator live action movie will happen. Until then, we got this show that's the Terminator anime called Terminator Zero. It is written by Matt Talsman, who is also a co-writer on The Batman with Matt Reeves. And I really enjoyed this thing, guys. It's only 8 episodes long, and the whole thing plays almost like one giant movie. So as soon as you start watching it and going into the story, every time an episode ends, next episode picks off right where it left off. That episode ends and it picks up right again. So like you could honestly just watch episode 1 to episode 8 and it's all just one giant movie. It doesn't really take breaks in between and all that. And I think the whole show takes place in the course of like a day and a half. So the basic premise this time, and I am going to keep it spoiler free because there are some spoilers that you could get into with this movie. So the basic premise is this time it's set in Japan. We are no longer following John Connor, Sarah Connor, none of the Connors, and I think that is a good thing. Just like in the Star Wars franchise, although Luke Skywalker and the Skywalkers are very important to it, that world is so big, it encompasses so much. I think sometimes you need to get away from those star players to really catch the scope of what happens in this universe. And in the Terminator world, the Connors are holding back some of the storytelling by having every sequel focus on them when it's time to let other things happen. So we're following a guy named Malcolm Lee who creates an AI named Kokoro. And he believes, in the trailers, this is all stuff in the trailers, he knows Judgment Day is coming. The Terminators are coming. They explain in the show how he'll know. But he knows they're coming and that he's really trying to build this other AI that he hopefully knows can beat Skynet. And honestly, the things they do in this show, it really dives in to some of the things they haven't focused on in the Terminator franchise. This show really dives into how time travel works in the universe, because that's something they kind of ignore. We thought time travel worked one way, or we had theories of it back when these movies came out. The whole paradox that, like, how does John Connor exist if his father's from the future and he has to exist to be able to send his father back and then give birth and all this? It's a whole paradox. The show talks about that, and it explains these ongoing paradox that every movie after Terminator 2 is just like set in its own timeline. It sets its own world and all this. So there's this really cool thing where they play on the thing with every time someone time travels, we're creating a new timeline. So the future we're trying to protect, we actually don't know what's going to happen now. And the twists and turns they take with that, love it. Along with that also, it gets bloody again. It's a bloody freaking show. I was just showing you this clip here of this Terminator, and it's nice to see. I saw in an interview they mentioned, although Terminator 2 is great, they wanted to go back to the horrific vibes of Terminator had, like in Terminator 1. Because if you go back and watch the first Terminator movie, he feels like Michael Myers. The dude is just walking around killing people without remorse. Oh, dude, doing stuff like that. It is crazy stuff. So I liked how bloody and violent it was. The animation was great too. They also get into philosophical things, higher thinking, which I really enjoyed, along with like the random time travel stuff they do. They're also like, well, what's the point of saving the future? Are we worth saving? Or should we actually just let the AIs win and see what happens there? There was like a lot of stuff where they really dive deep that, again, the Terminator franchise hasn't really done. It's just always got to go back and stop you. Okay, I've stopped you now. What happens? Like, I like that they do that. So I think Terminator Zero is really good. They definitely ended off to where there could be a season two and continue the story in interesting ways. I would love to see that happen. I think this is the right direction for the franchise. It's different. There's definitely some weird stuff. Like, if I want to get into some of my negatives, I did think it was weird, like how Kokoro, the new AI, is like three different entities, and it gave account. At times, it felt almost like supernatural-ish and weird. And there are moments where it loses its tech noir feel. Terminator was really good about this like tech noir feeling, and there's other robots in here called Inyos, and they just like they didn't feel very Terminator-esque to me. But it's all kind of takeaway overall when it came to the story and like just the look of the T800. I thought that was really great, so I was happy with it. And there are like minor Easter eggs and callbacks to the other movies, but nothing that traverses on the level of fan service or giant Easter eggs. Like, yeah, don't expect like Arnold Schwarzenegger to have a cameo in here or John Connor to pop up. Nothing like that. It's very much its own standalone story, but I like where it's going. I recommend it if you're a Terminator fan and want something kind of new. Keep a bit of an open mind. I think even if you're not an anime fan, you could get into this. And the twists and turns at the end, I think are pretty juicy. So get into watching that. All right.